Mike Walter in Washington, D.C.
Viewers around the world know Mike Walter as a CGTN anchor based in Washington, D.C. But behind the scenes for more than 2 years, his family has endured a private struggle. This is his daughter Courtney in 2018, receiving her PhD from the University of St. Andrews in Scotland.
Just a bundle of energy.
Mike and his wife Kate say she's a naturally upbeat person.
She's a type A personality, a go-getter.
Courtney stayed on in Scotland, where she's a teaching fellow at the University of Edinburgh. In March 2020, she contracted COVID-19. As a healthy woman in her early 30s, she figured she would recover quickly.
I just felt really bad, but I didn't feel like I was going to die.
But as weeks went by, she developed new symptoms.
The overwhelming physical and cognitive fatigue. I was just so confused. My brain just completely stopped functioning.
As much of the world focused on the surging deaths from the virus, Courtney was experiencing what would come to be known as long COVID. Back in the States, Mike and Kate were growing frustrated. Travel restrictions made it impossible for them to get to Scotland.
It's your daughter and you want to do anything for your kid, you can't do anything.
Courtney couldn't work and was granted medical leave. In November 2020, 8 months after her initial diagnosis, travel restrictions eased and she flew back to the U.S. to rest at the family home outside Washington.
It was an opportunity for me to actually really relax and really rest and recover. And I was, surrounded by love.
She stayed at home for 3 months, then returned to Scotland, but was far from fully recovered. She could manage, but just barely.
We didn't know if it would end. We didn't know if this was permanent.
Not just her health, but her spirit just being sucked out. As parents, that was really difficult to deal with.
More months passed before Courtney saw her first real glimmer of hope in the form of vaccines.
It was about 2.5 weeks after I had my second vaccine that the brain fog started to lift. I still wasn't how I was before I was ill, but I started to live, a moderately normal life at that point.
She even felt well enough for a family holiday in Iceland, along with brother Trevor and Trevor's girlfriend. She went back to work and even socialized with friends from time to time, but the fatigue persisted. Then, this past July, the unthinkable happened. While attending a friend's wedding, she contracted COVID-19 yet again.
I was terrified. I thought that all of that progress I had made in the last 2 years was just going to go by the wayside, and that I was going to start at square one again and have long COVID again.
But something surprising happened. She began to feel better, much better.
About 2 weeks after I got sick with COVID again, I started to feel more myself than I had since I had gotten ill, 2.5 years earlier. Honestly, I don't even know what words I can use to describe how incredible the feeling was.
It's not clear how her second bout of COVID may have played a part in eliminating her long COVID symptoms. Though they're still separated by a few thousand kilometers, the family is closer than ever.
I think that solidified in everybody how close and how reliable the family unit was, and it really helped her believe in herself.
The love, the bond was there before, but I just think it just enriches it that much more.
And Courtney has this message for those still struggling with long COVID.
There were many months where I thought, I'll never recover from this illness. This is what my life looks like now. And so I just want to give those people who are struggling in the way that I was struggling some hope for the future.
Jim Spellman, CGTN, Fairfax, Virginia.